Hello, welcome to our lifestyle segment. My name is Andre Guichard of Gallery Guichard, and I am so happy to be able to invite you to a very important exhibition, Common Bonds, at the DuSable Museum, which also features a very phenomenal collaboration between the DuSable Museum, Gallery Guichard, and incredible national philanthropist Alan Turner, and nationally acclaimed Houston artist Ted Ellis. Alan, thank you.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Great to see you. And he just reminded me, and you just reminded me of how Hyde Park, the DuSable Museum, this is old stumping ground for you and your wife.
It is true. I was born 3 blocks from this museum at 55th and Ellis Avenue. And as a child, I rode horses through through Washington Park here, which was really fun. And then I went to Hyde Park High School, which is in the neighborhood, and ended up at the University of Chicago. And my wife, who's my partner in life, she was born in what is now known as Kenwood, 49th and Drexel. And of course, we used to call it Hyde Park because no one knew where Kenwood was until, of course, Barack Obama became elected. But we're lifelong Southsiders.
Wow. Now, many people know the name Alan Turner, but the things you've done for major institutions, the MCA, Columbia College, University of Chicago, the list goes on nationally and internationally. And a lot of times, just learning what it means to be an art advocate is something that takes education like everything else. When you talked about activism, what does activism mean for you? And what has it meant for you and your wife as collectors?
Well, I'm an activist person. I always have been. I am a little tired today because I played basketball at noon today, so I'm still a very activist. All our lives, we've been engaged in city life, in the life of communities, and in experiencing a variety of ways. And one of the most interesting ways to experience is through the arts, through theater, music, culture, and that has been so important to us. And so it's integral to what we are, is what we do, and what we do. We spend a lot of time in the arts.
Talk a bit about when you think of cities like New York, which has different segments or patches of culture, and Chicago merging different cultural segments together and bringing it to the forefront. How important is that for a city?
Well, I think it makes Chicago unique. I constantly have discussions with people from out of town, say, come here and look what we do. And what we do is this. What we do is we form a community in which all of us are engaged in a variety of art forms. And you find people involved with museums and operas and theaters, and you go and you look and see your friends. In so many cities, New York, Los Angeles, other cities, the interest in arts is siloed. So I'm going here, but I'm not going there. And that is not true in Chicago. It is both cross-cultural, cross-racial, and cross-interest.
Speaking of, you were attending a fundraiser at Gallery Guichard.
I was.
With Columbia College.
When we met.
When we met. And I remember how a lot of the artists and collectors were all gravitating to you like the sun.
Well.
And I said, I need to just say hello. And I was very pleased that you and your wife welcomed me and my family, Francis, Steve, and you know, you really helped to educate us in a lot of ways. But to your point about cross-pollination of sorts, you met Ted at a subsequent opening.
I did.
And Ted is actually here. I'd like to ask Ted to come
on up, Ted.
Come on up and have a little reunite. But tell me that.
Well, you had, first of all, at the original opening, you were doing a benefit for Columbia College, where I'm chairman of the Board of Trustees, largest arts college in the country, with, interestingly, a 30% minority. We have more minority students in our college than almost all the private colleges in the state of Illinois combined. So, yeah. So that's where we met. And I became interested in what you do, not only in the art, but in your devotion to the community. And so I wanted to come back. when I came back, you had this great show, and I was struck by the art and the artistry of Ted here, and I said, oh, these are wonderful. Now, I was chairman of the Brody Museum of Contemporary Art, got lots of paintings on my wall, but I was struck by the humanity and the technique and the heart that is in your paintings. And so I said, gee, I want to own these paintings. But after a while, it became clear to me that they were so good and so thoughtful and so explicit in their display of segments of people's lives. They really belonged in the public realm, Ted. And so I thought it was more appropriate that to be housed here at the DuSable Museum where everybody could enjoy the skill that you have.
Wow. Wow. Now, talk about, and this, I'll close on this and let Ted talk about what this means to him, but talk about that unselfishness as a collector. Because I know some artists can barely give their work away to sell it.
Sometimes it's harder for artists, I know, because their heart is in it, you know. Well, I think of art as passing through my hands. And good collectors, people who have the true interest in art as opposed to fielding art as possession, know that art really belongs in the public realm. In some sense, it doesn't belong to anyone. In some sense, it belongs to the people. So I, from time to time, have donated pictures to museums because that's what good collectors do. And it's interesting, maybe the better the treasure, the more it belongs in the museum, I don't know. But it was clear to me that my motivation here was to allow more people than just me and a few guests to see your pictures.
That's kind. Wow. Wow. Very well said. Any comments in closing, Ted?
It's just pretty amazing, you know, as an artist, you know, you live your whole lifetime and sometimes you never see this happen. And, you know, I said earlier, the DuSable is the first and oldest African American museum. And a lot of times when a major collector purchases your artwork, you know, it's housed in their own personal private collection, and you only get a chance to grace it and see it when you get a chance to visit. So the unselfishness, the commitment to community, and that speaks volumes about Mr. Turner and making this donation to
and Mrs. Turner
and Mrs. Turner, Lynn. It's a very unselfish act, and you know, we wish more patrons and supporters would emulate.
Well, we're starting here today.
We'll start today.
Let's get some more pictures in this museum.
Right.
That's right.
That's right. And you know, I'm humbled and I'm honored. And Alan just nailed it. You know, I'm here to speak about my passion, my commitment, pictorially document my culture and heritage, and I couldn't have said it any better. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Alan. And for the record, not only did Alan donate the 5 works by Ted Ellis, but he also donated 2 additional beautiful fine art photography pieces on the left and the right. And if you could briefly tell us a bit about that, because those are
in 1963 in Brooklyn, New York, there was a group called the Kamungi of African American artists that was formed. Kamungi is an African word which means let's talk together. And their point was to form a group because they thought that their pictures were underappreciated, and they thought that in the group there was power. It still exists today. And I have 2 photographs from that group that were taken, June Truesdale and Wayne Lawrence, and they are beautiful black and white pictures, and they have heart, and they belong in this museum as well.
excellent. Alan, Lynn Turner, thank you. The community thanks you. The museum thanks you. I thank you, and I can't say enough how much I appreciate your friendship.
Thank you. And someone's calling to thank us now.